There's a thief on the loose at the gas station I work at, so if he thinks he's going to waltz in here and steal something else on my shift, he's got another thing coming because I set him up with a trap. Let me tell you exactly what that trap is. Hey guys, I'm 19. I work at a gas station. I've been there for about 2 months now, and I like the job, especially the night shift. Why, you might ask? I don't know, it's just more of a calm vibe. During the day, man, it gets swamped. Now, this isn't your regular gas station. We're placed smack dab in the center of a bustling part of the neighborhood. Honestly, there's always somebody around, even in the dead of night. It's both a pro and a con. The good thing is, it feels safer when there's traffic, but the downside is, you get the strangest interactions during the late hours. In my 2 months, I've been fortunate. No bizarre altercations, no weird customers trying to haggle over a pack of gum, and no, let's say, high-intensity situations if you catch my drift. Here recently, there's been this guy named Reggie. The first time he came in, he seemed like a regular. But what Reggie does is wait till I'm busy ringing up another customer or restocking a shelf, and he'd grab something and dart out. Not paying, of course. You see, the thing is, Reggie is clever. Every time he comes in, he's in a different get-up. Once he was in a baseball cap and sunglasses, and next he came in with a fake mustache and a hoodie. It's like he's playing dress-up, but for petty theft. The first time it happened, I was like, did that just happen? The second time, I recognized him just as he was breezing out the door, and by the third time, I was both frustrated and a tad impressed. You see, he's a quick change artist, I'll give him that, and he's not stealing big-ticket items, but the principle is behind it. I report it to my manager, who's been at the gas station for a while, and he just sighs, giving me a look that said, "Yeah, that's Reggie," and told me never to chase anybody. He said to call the cops if it happens again, but I was hesitant. Reggie would be long gone by the time anybody arrived anyways, plus I did not want to make it a whole big deal. I'm still new and did not want to be labeled as that guy at work. You know what guy I'm talking about that always brings up an issue somewhere every single day of the hour. The last incident was the most brazen. Reggie comes in, this time wearing a full-on wig and dressed up like he's going to the gym. He walks over, picks up a mayonnaise sandwich, makes prolonged eye contact with me as if challenging me, and then strolls out. No rush. And guess what? I was with a customer, an elderly lady buying lottery tickets, and she just looks at me as I watch him walk out the door, and she says, "Young man, was that fellow stealing?" I nodded. Reggie has not been back since, but I know it won't be long till he returns. I'll keep you guys updated. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. If you guys are new to the channel, show a little support for the Revenge channel and drop a subscription right below. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to jump into update number 1 now and see what the heck's going on with Reggie. Alright guys, remember my last post about Reggie, the so-called disguise bandit? Well, strap in because things took a turn. About 3 weeks since my initial post, we had a massive delivery order scheduled for one of my night shift. It's not unusual for large shipments to come at night, and me being the youngest guy working, they would always want me to assist them with it. Thomas, my coworker, was manning the inside. While I was out helping the truck driver upload, casually I mentioned to the driver about our repeat offender, the guy in disguise who kept snatching small items, and I expected him to chuckle or give some generic advice, and what I did not expect was for him to cut me off mid-description and say, the guy, does he call himself Reggie? I was stunned. How on earth did he know? The driver, with a smirk, explained Reggie was infamous among gas stations in the area. Other drivers had chatted about a costume bandit who in the dead of night would swing by different gas stations, different disguises, grab small food and drink items. The audacity! Here I was thinking Reggie was our personal problem, but turns out he's the neighborhood's very own gas station menace. I was reeling from the revelation when we wrapped up the delivery, and I walked back in, thinking of sharing this new intel with Thomas. However, as I approached, I noticed him on the phone, a concerned look on his face. Yeah, you guessed it. Reggie struck again. In the short window, while I was out back with the delivery, Reggie had swooped in and made off with an assortment of candies, chips, and a soda pop. Thomas was on the phone with the cops. The audacity! I mean, right in front of me. When the police arrived, Thomas tried to best describe Reggie, but given his penchant for disguises, it was no easy task. The officers took down the reports but did not seem to be too helpful. Citing the vague description and low value of the items taken, I filled them in on what the driver had told me, hoping it might help him with connecting some dots. They nodded, appreciating the tip, but I could sense their skepticism about catching a small-time crook with a flair for theatrics. For the rest of our shift, Thomas and I brainstormed. We considered everything, from installing more cameras to hosting a stakeout night. We would collaborate with other local gas stations and call them out. Nothing seemed fall-proof, though, and the boss did not want to spend more money on equipment. I had a feeling that there's more to come still, so I'll keep you guys updated. Update number 2. Hey guys, it's been about a month since my last update about our resident nuisance, Reggie. I know a lot of you have been following this saga and have even DM'd me asking for an update, so here is where we're at. First, an update on Thomas. I've not seen him since that one memorable night. He texted me a few weeks ago, updating me about another Reggie escapade, this time a wig and a dress. Thomas was both amused and annoyed, and Reggie made his exit before Thomas even blinked. This cat-and-mouse game has been exhausting, to say the least, and with each hit, we have to deal with the cops, the skepticism, and all the paperwork. Wanting to see if there's a neighborhood-wide strategy in place, I decided to just drop by the closest gas station to ours. It was manned by an older gentleman who's pretty much a fixture there. His face contorted in recognition when I mentioned Reggie. He's relentless. I've tried everything in my power. Alarms, cameras. But at this age, I'm not chasing after anyone. I expressed my frustration and mentioned how often Reggie had been tormenting us too. As I was leaving, the older man leaned in and whispered, "You know, I've heard he's been living under the old bridge down the lane, part of that homeless camp. Maybe you should go see Mr. Reggie in person." Armed with this new piece of information, gears started turning in my head. Reggie has been a constant thorn in our sides, and not knowing where he might be, I planned something. I called up Thomas and asked him, what if we set up a sting operation of our own, using ourselves as bait? My plan was simple. We'd spread a rumor about a promotional event at our gas station, a night where a few high-value items would be heavily discounted or given away for free. The idea was to lure Reggie in, thinking it was the biggest hit yet. We'd have cops ready to call on standby and security personnel, which was our friend, waiting in the shadows, ready to apprehend him in the moment he tried one of his sneaky antics. It was risky. Reggie's actions might be petty theft, but who knew that he would react when cornered? Yet the idea of finally catching him in the act of turning the tables on him was too enticing. I shared the plan with Thomas and Jason, our friend acting as security, and to my surprise, they were on board. It was high time we did something about this serial disguise thief. Update number 3. Hey guys, it's me again, with hope that I'll be on my final update of the Reggie saga. To those who have been following, thank you for sticking around. Strap in because this is a big one. After coming up with a sting operation plan, I first approached my boss for permission. Now, he's a cool guy and was on board with the idea, but he was pretty adamant that he did not want the store or himself held responsible for any damages or injuries. That's where Jason came in. Jason's a buddy of mine. Does not work at the gas station, but he owed me for lending him some video games a while back. He was our undercover customer for the night, plus it's always helpful to have some backup, and since he's built like a tank, he was our unofficial security. We needed the perfect bait for Reggie, so I set up large promotion stand by the entrance, stacked it with chips, sodas, everything Reggie loves to snatch. It was conspicuous, practically screaming, "Take me!" A few hours into my shift, Jason, ever vigilant, hissed that he thinks Reggie walked in. He pointed to a guy wearing a black beanie, sunglasses, and a face mask. From his sneaky demeanor alone, I recognized him. It was Reggie, all right. Jason and I communicated silently, prepping ourselves for Reggie's move, and sure enough, Reggie made a beeline for our bait, his arms grabbing as many products as he could. But before he could make his usual swift exit, Jason sprinted at him, tackling him to the ground. The entire store was in a chaos at this point. Cans of soda bursting open, chips scattered everywhere. Jason, with all his might, tried pinning Reggie down while I scrambled to call the police. It was a full-on showdown. By the time the cops arrived, Jason, albeit slightly bruised, had Reggie under control. The relief when we had handed him over was palpable. The police assured us that they would look into Reggie's previous thefts as well, and Jason, being the absolute champ that he is, just laughed off the bruises, satisfied we'd finally caught our man. In a show of gratitude, I treated him to a hearty meal before he left. However, as the adrenaline faded and the night wore on, a gnawing feeling settled in. I recalled what the old man at the neighboring gas station told me about Reggie being part of the homeless camp under the bridge. Was what we did to him too extreme? Sure, he was causing problems, but was it worth getting law enforcement involved, knowing he might have been acting out of desperation? On the other hand, I feel a sense of justice, of protecting our livelihood. But on the other, there was a bit of guilt, thinking of Reggie, possibly hungry and cold, resorting to these antics. Was our sting operation a bit too much? Did we go overboard? Are we the a-holes? Let me know down below. Comment number 1 from all the post. I can't help but wonder, why did not OP ever just try to talk to Reggie? Understand his situation. If he's living at a homeless camp, the guy's clearly struggling. Jail time is hardly the answer. I mean, once he's out, he's likely to go back to the same desperate measures. I don't think OP is an a-hole, but I'm not sure this will teach Reggie the lesson everybody thinks it will. Comment number 2. I have to say, Reggie's creativity with disguises is genuinely impressive. It's not every day you come across a thief who has a new look for every heist and is also homeless. While I don't condone stealing, I can appreciate the artistry. That said, if Reggie was continuously stealing from the store, well, some actions had to have been taken. OP, you're not the a-hole. Third and final comment. While I understand the frustration and the need for action, directly involving the police might have been a bit too much. The guy's homeless, for heaven's sake. He's clearly struggling and needs help. Not jail time. OP, you could have tried to understand him a little bit more instead, and there might have been a more compassionate solution. Hate to say it, but OP, you are the a-hole. Okay guys, so an overwhelming amount of people were saying OP is not the a-hole. I do want to know your thoughts on this, your perspectives, because there were quite a few comments though that was saying how Reggie was homeless, Reggie needed help. Yeah, that might be true, but Reggie was also stealing every single day. So knowing that little piece of information, let me know your thoughts about this story. Guys, it was a wild one, but that's not all. I have another story for you today, and the title is this: Am I the a-hole for using a prank on some trespassers who kept taking a midnight dip into my swimming pool? Hey everybody. Some odd stuff's been going on in my life lately, and I need to get an external perspective on whether I might have overreacted. I'm a 41-year-old male, and my wife Tracy and I live in this cozy suburban neighborhood. We've been here for about 4 years now, and we genuinely love it. The area's nice, there's always some sort of neighborhood activity going on, and overall it just gives me that sense of belonging. Quick background. Tracy and I don't have kids and never really planned on it. It's not just because of finances, but also because we genuinely enjoy our freedom. We've been fortunate enough to travel quite a bit, and last summer we were sipping cocktails in Australia, and a year before that, wandering the romantic streets of Italy. When we were not out and about exploring the world, you can often find us chilling by our backyard pool. It's our little slice of paradise. One morning, however, things got strange. I noticed that the pool lights were still on from the previous day, and we had not used the pool at all, so I was pretty sure I had not left them on. When I went over to check, I found a pair of shoes by one of the pool chairs. Definitely not mine or Tracy's. They were a bit smaller than my size, and neither of us recognized them. When I asked Tracy about it, she seemed as clueless as I was, and after some debate, I decided to toss them out. I mean, they weren't ours, and nobody had come around asking for them. But here's where things get a bit, more bizarre. A few days after the shoe incident, we started to notice other little oddities. Towels left out, an empty red cup on the poolside table, and once even a random shirt that we've never seen before. It's like somebody's been using our pool when we're not home. Or maybe when we're sleeping? Now, I've tried asking the neighbors, but nobody's seen anything unusual. It's becoming increasingly unsettling, especially because our neighborhoods always felt so safe. Anyways, I'll keep you updated. If we find anything out, let me know what you would do. Update number 1. Hey there, OP here. It's been a week since my initial post regarding my mysterious shoe and other peculiar occurrences by our backyard pool. First of all, thank you for the overwhelming support and suggestions on how to deal with the bizarre situation. As many of you have suggested, we began researching security cameras. I've not realized how pricey a good system can cost, especially one with night vision and recording capabilities. While we're committed to ensuring our safety, we can't immediately invest in a camera system due to our monthly budget. We're contemplating the idea of taking out a small loan to cover the cost, but that's a route I'd prefer not to tread unless absolutely necessary. However, the incident have not ceased. If anything, they've escalated. We're pretty certain somebody, or possible multiple somebodies, are hopping our fence in the wee hours of the night and treating our pool as their own special, personal splash zone. Knowing somebody's been in our private space while we're asleep is pretty unnerving, to say the least. The boundaries between our home and the world outside feel tainted. Tracy's been having trouble sleeping, and I'd be lying if I said I have not been affected as well. But yesterday's discovery ratcheted up our anxiety to a whole new level. Guys, Tracy had gone outside for a relaxing sunbathe by the pool when she came across an empty glass bottle of liquor, discarded carelessly by the poolside. The sight of it was a slap in the face. It was one thing to use our pool, but to litter on our property with an empty booze bottle. The audacity of these intruders knew no bounds. Our minds have been racing. Are these people merely thrill seekers, daring each other to take a late-night dip into a stranger's pool? Or is there something more sinister? The more we think about it, the more questions we have. Are they watching us? Do they know our daily routines? We've even contemplated the idea of hosting a neighborhood meeting. I hope that maybe confronting the issue publicly might deter the trespassers, or at the very least generate some leads. But with no concrete evidence, we're hesitant to turn our suspicions into neighborhood gossip. We've considered other deterrents as well. Motion sensor lights, no trespassing signs, and even looked into a pool cover that might dissuade the intruders, though I've heard those can be a pain to deal with. Thankfully, there's only about a month left of summer, and once the nights become chill, we're hoping the late-night pool visits will cease. Still, I can't shake the feeling that this is far from over. I've been toying with the idea of leaving a note for these trespassers, a firm message to make it clear that we're aware and will not tolerate it any longer. But would that be too confrontational? Or perhaps it'd give them the satisfaction of knowing that they've gotten to us? For now, we remain on this unsettling limbo. Well, we will find them, though. I'll keep you guys updated. Any further advice would be immensely appreciated. Update number 2. Hey again, OP with yet another wild twist in our ongoing backyard saga. Strap in, folks, because this one's, well, different. Following the repeated trespasses and growing audacity of our late-night pool invaders, my frustration hit its boiling point. Sure, a security system might eventually be in our future, but in the meantime I was craving a little poetic justice. While brainstorming, a memory hit me. I remembered a prank I'd once seen in a movie where somebody used dye in a swimming pool. That was it. It felt like a perfect mix of harmless revenge and mischievousness. The idea was to dye these unwelcome visitors without causing any real harm. Off to the store I went, purchasing a large container of blue concrete washable dye. I returned home, eager to share my scheme with Tracy. Her initial reaction was a mixture of amusement and concern, with her first words being, "Are you out of your mind?" She worried about potential damage to our pool liner, after reassuring her multiple times about the safety and temporary nature of the dye. Plus, reading the label aloud highlighted washable. She begrudgingly agreed. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I poured a hefty amount of dye into the pool. The water turned a rich shade of blue, but in the moonlight the difference was subtle, unlikely to arouse any suspicion. That night, sleep evaded me. Every tick of the clock echoed loudly in the quiet room, and just when I thought the plan might have been in vain, about 2 a.m., the night air was pierced by a bit of shrieks and surprised exclamations. Jumping out of bed, I rushed to the window, knocking on the backyard light, and the sight that met my eyes was straight out of a comic book. A group of blue tinted teenagers, 4 of them, scrambling around in a panic, smearing blue handprints all over as they made a hasty retreat over the fence. It was like the Smurfs have invaded suburbia. The washable dye had worked wonders, coating them in an unmistakable hue. To the intruders' credit, their reactions were impressive, and what seemed like mere seconds they were gone, leaving behind only the sound of muffled laughter and the frantic scrubbing of their skin. By morning, the adrenaline faded and replaced a mixture of amusement and pride, but over breakfast I narrated the overnight escapade to Tracy, who slept through most of it. As I described the scene, her laughter grew uncomfortable. "Our very own Smurf village?" she chuckled. "We hope this blue awakening serves as a deterrent. No harm was intended, only a lesson. I'm glad we chose the washable dye, knowing that while they might need a thorough shower or two, no lasting damage was done to our blue invaders. If you're reading this, no hard feelings, just remember, our pool, our rules." The aftermath of our little dye prank remains to be seen. I'll keep you guys posted for any further blue-tinted developments. Final updates. Hey, OP's back for one final update on the blue-tinted saga that turned out otherwise quiet suburban life into something straight out of a quirky comedy. First order of business, post our mischievous escapade, draining the pool. Yeah, the aftermath of our little prank was a good one, but it belonged in a Smurf village rather than our backyard. Getting the dye out was an all-day affair. Not going to lie, as I watched the dye water spiraling down the drain, there was a brief moment where I wondered if it was all worth it. But then, I imagined those blue-tinted teenagers scrambling off, and yes, it was. Just as I was finishing up, Tracy arrived home from the grocery store. A smile on her face and a twinkle in her eye. "You'll never believe who I ran into the store," she began, barely able to hold it in. According to her, she was in the cereal aisle when she spotted a boy with his mother, probably in his late teenage years, with distinct blue on his hands, ears, neck, even his hair, the remnants of our pranks still clearly visible. Well, we laughed about it and quickly snapped a discreet photo for posterity, and we laughed about it for hours. The satisfaction of knowing our late-night visitors had been marked, quite literally, by their trespassing was incredibly gratifying. Yet, on the flip side, we hoped our colorful lesson would serve as a memorable deterrent. So, here we are. At the end of our blue-hued journey, our pool is drained, covered, and ready for fall and winter. The memories of the blue-tinted teenagers will likely elicit chuckles for years to come, but my question to you guys is, am I the a-hole for seeking revenge on our midnight pool intruders in such a dramatic fashion? Or should I have just called the police? Let me know. Comment number 1. What you did, OP's hilarious. I've never thought of it. The mental image of Smurf teenagers running around is gold, though I've got to admit, I don't know if I'd have that patience to clean up the pool mess afterwards. Anyways, not the a-hole. Comment number 2. Honestly, I think no one's really the a-hole here. The kids remind me of my friends and me back in the day. We did not have pools, so we snuck into the neighbor's pool. It was a rite of passage. They were just being kids. But on the flip side, OP, you had every right to protect your space without causing harm. Final comment. It really amazes me how brazen and daft a teenager can be, repeatedly returning to the scene of a crime and even leaving trash behind. It's as if they were just asking to be caught, like, hey, look at me. Well played, by the way, OP, you are not the a-hole. Alright, so in the comments, there were some people who were looking at this like it was a lighthearted prank, it was just a joke. But come on, guys, a lot of the other commenters that I read through, they were not taking this as a joke. And the fact that liquor, alcohol, was involved with the teenagers, yeah, there were people saying that there could have been a drowning, and then OP would have been held responsible for it since it happened in their pool, even though they had no idea people were breaking in to use it. So if you look at it from that perspective, I guess this could have been a really dangerous combination. Alcohol, teenagers, and a swimming pool at midnight. Let me know your thoughts about it. Let me know what you would do if you were in this position. Go ahead and drop your comments down below. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate revenge stories every single day on this channel. Make sure that you're subscribed to it. Go ahead and pop on those bell notification icons so you get alerted whenever I upload. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about the next revenge of the day. And remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.